Welcome back to the shop. This week we're going to be looking at putting the steering column back in. So all these parts here are from my 2001 Dodge Ram that I use as a donor truck for this project. So you have your steering column, your pedal support brackets, you got your Hydro Boost master cylinder, and your ABS system down here. So when it's all hooked up back together, it should work as one seamless unit. So I think how I'm going to manage this is I'm going to use this support bracket here. I'm going to get this in the truck, and then the steering column will attach to the top of it, and then your master cylinder will attach to the back of it, and hopefully that'll all work. So as far as the master cylinder going in here, it's quite a long unit, and I think it's about it's just a little over 17 inches long. And I might have to disconnect our ABS portioning valve assembly here. I might not have enough space to run it right where it thinks it was on the Ram, but I'll tackle that when I get there. I think that putting the steering column in next is the natural progression of this build, because after the steering column's in and the steering wheel's there, then I can figure out where I'm going to end up with the seating position, and then I might even lengthen this cab back. So my reasons for lengthening the cab was, one viewer suggested that these are small seats with not a lot of leg room, and once I put in the much larger seats, I might be looking like I might need some more leg room. So with that being said, I'll probably lengthen it behind this B support here, the B pillar, and then I think 8 inches might be the ticket there. But that's not the focus for this week. This week's focus is getting these pedals in. So I have the bracket just kind of held up here underneath the dash. It sits out a little proud right now, and I think I'd like to raise it up a bit higher. But overall, this is where the pedal arrangement's likely going to fall into here. And then coming around to the front of the firewall here, the master cylinder measured about 17 inches. So that gives me just enough space here so it misses the intake horn. And also I might need to trim the back of this fender out a little bit for everything to get fitted, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. So it looks like most of these holes are going to have to go through the firewall, so I better start with making a template. So I found this template just laying around on the old truck, and I'm going to use that to mock up where everything's going to go underneath here. Alright, so I got the side off here, looking at the engine. And while I was in here, I decided I'd change the fuel filter. So coming around to the inside of the cab, that's where the old steering column went to go. And it looks like I can use this hole to pick up the steering column that I have installed here on the other side. So around here I got the shaft supported, and I think this is where I'm going to shoot it through the existing hole here. So I think this is roughly the position that everything's going to go in. Then I think I'll just play around with where I want the steering column to go and the steering wheel to sit, and then I'll cut that hole in. Alright, here's where I'm at. So I made this hole a little bit bigger in the firewall to get this to pass through. And then coming around here, I got it to, let's get some light on there. Got her to sit up nice and snug with the firewall. Now it's sagging a little bit because it's sitting down a little ways, and I got it supported on this block. But it just kind of goes to show a little bit how deep it's going to sit. And I'll raise it up a little bit right here. And this should connect up pretty easily. Okay, so I got this side of the steering column secured. And then coming around here, you can see the steering column down here. Get some light on that. It's all buckled in. And it's sitting flush with the firewall. So from here I have the templates for the holes for the brake booster to go through, then the 4 bolts to hold the brake booster on, and then even the square hole for the accelerator cable for the engine. So now I'm going to transfer those holes into the firewall and go from there. Alright, so I got the holes cut in the firewall, and then I went ahead and installed this master brake booster. This is the Hydro Boost system, and it just fits. So at the front of this unit, it's a little tight. I think it's got to come back about 1/4 of an inch, which I think I can do by pulling out the red firewall that's right there. And then I also have this portioning valve and ABS module just kind of hanging out in time and space. So I had to find a spot for it. But before all that happens, I'm going to put in the pedals. And as you can see underneath here, it's not quite flat. And I'll probably have to take this this part of the doghouse out and make it flat so the pedals can sit flat up against the firewall here. I trimmed up the template a little bit just so it was just holding the bottom of the steering column in, and that was able to bring this whole thing forward, and it gives me a lot more space in here for clearance. And then I was able to hook the steering shaft up, so now I can try out the steering wheel. Alright, let's test this out. Alright, that's full lock one way. And full lock the other way. And then when I got them on full lock, I still have about at least 3 inches here before it rubs on anything. Now I'm going to work on securing the steering column up to the dash. In the other truck, this had a hole to go right there, but I wanted to move the whole steering column in so I didn't have so much sticking out here, and that it would reach the steering shaft over here. So I'm going to attach this to this and this to this. Okay, so I got the steering column secured. What I ended up doing is cutting this gigantic piece of channel and then welding it to the top support of the dash, and then bolting it up to the bottom through the support, and picking up on the bottom here, right there. And it's got to be mounted pretty strong because sometimes, you know, you gotta grab a hold of it and pull yourself up. One thing I considered while I was putting in the steering column was that I was going to put these bigger, wider seats in. So what I did was I moved the steering column over about 1.5 inches. So that's way it would get more centered to the new seats. But I had to pull out some of the dash here to get this in. So what I'm going to do is when I take it out, I'm going to cut all this off so it sits flush again, and then I'll weld this back in. Next up, make sure the tilt works. I'm gonna work on hooking this automatic transmission up here. So the automatic transmission is controlled here as I'm shifting through the gears. And what it does is it uses a fairly complicated system of rods and pivots to move to move this shifter back and forth on the transmission. So here are the pieces. This one attaches to the body of the cab, this one at the bottom of the steering column here, and then this goes over and attaches to the transmission, and then ultimately this hooks up to the linkage on the transmission. This part in particular looks pretty rough, so I think what I'm going to do is cut it up here, then maybe add some ready rod and build up my own linkage here. I tore that linkage down and then cleaned it all up and gave her some paint, some new washers and pins, and this is what I came up with. So where that old rusty linkage was, I just took a bigger nut and then I welded a smaller bolt from the body of the old truck, and it just kind of threads in there into that rubber insert, and it's pretty secure. So from up here I can verify that all the gears work. We got her in park now, and then you can bring it all the way down the first, second, drive, neutral, up to reverse, and up again to park. And next I'm going to install this emergency brake. So this guy's going to go up in this corner here. Got the emergency brake pedal installed. It's 2 bolts up there in the firewall there, and then 1 over here on the far side. So here's what it looks like from the other angle here, and it's got the release here, but I'll have to hook up in a special way, and then the pedal. So not a lot of space here, but I'm trying to make the best of it, considering the door comes up pretty much there, and then I got to get my knee around the steering wheel here. So I got it so I can just cover it there and push her down. Alright, so here's the setup with the floor. And I got your emergency brake, normal brake, and accelerator. And then got a little space there. Accelerator's hooked up. The brake's hooked up to the master cylinder, but I'm not going to push that because I don't really want to clean up brake fluid right now. And then I got your emergency brake just hanging out there. So there's lots of space there between that and the transmission tunnel from a foot, and then the brake will work there. So with that said, I think I'm going to leave her there for this week.